Bases dropped on a new edition of Soccer Down here. It's a Thursday. We've got lots of stuff to recap from a Champions League in Europe and in Copa Libertadores in South America and a Champions League in CONCACAF. We have a final now in CONCACAF with Seattle holding on to take care of NYC 1-1 on the night. That's all Seattle needed. They're into the final against Pumas. We have semifinals in Europe, and of course, we have pearl clutching because that's what we do best around here in some parts of the world. Woo! We've got Copa Libertadores to talk about. We've got Nicolas Firmino of Atlanta United, too, popping up on the show in a little bit. I had a chance to catch up with him yesterday. You'll hear that just after 10 o'clock. And Niko Moreno will join us at 10:30 to talk about Seattle and talk about CCL and MLS and everything else going on in Niko's world. But we're going to start with all of the chaos from yesterday. You had drama in one direction with Real Madrid and with Chelsea the day before. You had the same amount of drama, but in a different direction with Atleti and City. And Atleti's gamble of keeping it tight, being very defensive, being who they are, nearly paid off because they had opportunities to at least force extra time late in this one. They weren't able to do it. City comes out of it with injuries. City comes out of it after a beating physically and mentally, but they advance. They hold on. It's a scoreless draw, and they go through. And you had two teams, John, that approached the game in different ways. And when you have that, styles make fights. This was a great one, and should be one of those semifinals that goes down in history as one of the best.
Nothing like having semifinals that should be that on back-to-back days and for different reasons. When you have Real Madrid and Chelsea with the amazing back and forth, and you have all of the goals and all of the subplot and all of the drama, and then you have the two players in their mid-30s for Real Madrid coming through with Luka Modric and Karim Benzema being the stars of the show to get Real Madrid past Chelsea. And then you have drama coming at you from a different direction with edge of your seat. I mean, literally, this is edge of your seat stuff for a different reason because one goal will make a difference for a different reason. And so you have all of that build up, and then the final 20 minutes plus the time that was added on. So probably the final half hour of the match that literally was, okay, what's going to happen here? Who's going to score? You have a moment, and then you have other moments involving Manchester City. Then it goes off. I mean, it was mind blowing to me at points.
John, what were the moments? You had a moment. Give me the moments. Give me more detail. What were the moments?
Well, I mean, you have. I'll just go straight to all of the argy-bargy and the fighting.
There was more important moments than that.
I know now. But I mean, you had these near chances and everything like that. But I know I'm going to the end of the story, and I'll let you and Jarrett discuss all of the moments that led up to that final 30 minutes. But just when you have players for Atleti trying to make sure that the game was going to continue, and you have Savage grabbing Foden, and you have
that's actually not trying to make sure the game's continuing. What that's doing is losing your cool. And Atleti plays on the edge all the time. Mm-hmm. But John, grabbing somebody's hair is not going to keep the game from continuing. That's actually losing the plot.
I wasn't talking about the Grealish moment where
okay, any of it. Listen, this is the thing. Atleti is a combative team. They're a difficult team to deal with. They make you uncomfortable. These are all things that can win games for you. When you lose the plot, though, and you are the better team on the night, Atleti was the better team on the night. This was their leg. This was the home leg. This was what you would expect. This is what they played for at the first 90 in Manchester, to have this opportunity. When you are, if not in the ascendancy, with every opportunity, at least with every opportunity to win this, that's where you've got to dial down some of that stuff and actually go win the game. This is the tough balance when you are one of these teams. When you're a team that wants to provoke and be an antagonist and pick fights and try to get under your skin and try to get people sent off, there's times where that doesn't win you the game. And I think Atleti, for what they are, for who they are, for Diego Simeone, and there's some borderline offensive comments being thrown around out there about Atleti and about Simeone specifically, and it's pretty frustrating to see because being defensive is absolutely a tactic that can work. Do I like it? No, I don't. Having a team that will go for the little cheap shot, go for this, trying to provoke a reaction, grab a little bit of hair, do those things to try to get you to take a swing, to get you to do something stupid, to get you off your game. That's a tactic. That's a tactic. If you've been around this game long enough and you've seen anything at a high level and you're not living in the 60s and the amateur code and all the nonsense of that, this is all part of the game. You can go watch it at any league anywhere in the world. And yes, the beloved English players do take part in some of these different things that would be called dark arts, whether it's taking a dive, whether it's taking a cheap shot. It happens. It's all part of the game. You step between the lines. It ain't about making friends. It's about winning. And some teams do stretch what it takes to win. It's all well and good. I have no problem with that. Do you like playing those teams? No, you hate it. Do you want to be in that situation? No, you don't, because you got to keep your cool when somebody's trying to provoke you. You got to keep your cool to win the game. Now, what happened with Atleti in this, they outshot City 14-10. They had 3 shots on target to City's 1. They were the better team. And the stuff, John, that you're getting excited about for Atleti is actually a negative in this case. It is who they are, but it's at the wrong time. When you've got the opportunity to win the game, you don't win it through those antics. That's not how you actually win it. That might be how you get to winning it. But they were there. They didn't need it. Late. You can't get caught up in that stuff if you're Atleti. You need a goal. And everything's got to be about getting that goal. They got that distracted. And they got sidetracked. And they did have their chances at the end still. But I think it took away a little bit from them in that. And that's the risk you run. That is the risk. And that's why I think when people look at this from the outside and they expect teams, whether you're a possession team or you're an attacking team, it's like, okay, now you have to defend a lead. It's not as simple as changing a tactic on a video game. That's got to be understood at this point. You can't just say, okay, well, now you have an injury, so now you have to play this way. No. All those training sessions that you do and all that talk about how you play is who you are. Atleti is who they are. But you've got to slide the scale back a little bit in these moments where they can play. They're a good team. They are not purely defensive, sit behind the ball, kick you, grab your hair, call you names. That's not purely who they are. That part of their personality was dialed up too far in moments where it needed to be dialed down in this one, because Atleti very well could have gone through. And we have to separate that stuff. And that's why, John, I'm drawing that line there for you to say, like, yeah, moments. They did them. It's the wrong time for those moments. You have to do it at the right time. And they did it for, 150 or so minutes?
Yeah.
They gave up 1 goal. You get to the final 30. You're the better team in this leg. And you have an opportunity to knock out a top team. And they got too hung up on the things that don't win you the game. They can help you get to that point, but they don't win it for you. Getting somebody sent off in the 88th, 89th, 85th, whatever, like, yeah, it might help you for a few minutes, but focusing on that rather than staying focused on the game is a distraction. And that's why I want to separate that, because the game is not purely just Atleti dark arts, even though that's what some in England would try to tell you that's what it is. And it's all about Simeone being a bad guy, and these are bad guys, and they'll kick your mother and they'll grab her purse and run down the street with it and all this kind of nonsense that some people might want to walk back from that borderline, because there's some things getting said that are, woo. Anyway, City is not exactly, Jarrett, and this is the other thing about this game. Dark arts is a very broad term. Dark arts can be time wasting, according to some. Dark arts can be, taking a long time on substitutions. Even like some teams that we know, and of course we love these teams that sit down when the number comes up for a substitution and they try to waste more time. That's dark arts. City did that stuff too. I don't think they actually sat down. That would have been pretty cool. They wasted time. They did the things that you do with a 1-0 lead, which are considered dark arts, that some people would say, Atleti's terrible because they did dark arts. City did them too. You do them differently. Every team does. No matter what team you love, Jarrett, your beloved Celtic, they know the dark arts. John's beloved whoever, AFC Wimbledon, Swansea, all of the 27 teams you have memberships in.
Yes.
They all do dark arts. Atlanta United, they do the dark arts. Philadelphia, dark arts. Seattle, dark arts. I'm trying to think of what teams people like in the Twitch pitch without looking at it. Barcelona, dark arts. I said Philadelphia. They do the dark arts. They might be masters of it. Philadelphia, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Atleti, Manchester United, Manchester City, Liverpool, every single one of the teams in the world do the dark arts.
Check.
In different ways.
Absolutely.
City wasn't exactly innocent here either. They get through because that's what they had to do to get through on the day. Atleti, though, Jared, almost took it away from them. Do you want to talk about Atleti, Jared? You might want to manage a mute button first. Mute button broken.
I think
he's dead. Jarrett, you're letting us down.
You're trying to advance to a semifinal. Even when you're in any match, like you said, you pick your favorite team. You're trying to get to the finish line. You will do those things, whatever you want to call dark arts in quotation marks. You will do them. They come up in different ways.
Hold on. Yes, Niall, Liverpool, dark arts. Absolutely dark arts. Have you seen Mo Salah have that gravity issue where he falls down sometimes to try to draw a penalty? Yes. I've seen that a few times.
Mm-hmm.
Newcastle, Alex, dark arts.
Yes.
They know the dark arts as well.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with it when it happens in the game because you're trying to win. It happens. The referee can manage it.
Mm-hmm.
Every team in the world does dark arts. River Plate, dark arts, Christopher Abel. Dark arts.
Absolutely.
They have LGP on the team. Dark arts.
Mm-hmm.
He knows the dark arts.
But
players in that team know the dark arts.
And for Manchester City.
See, we broke Jarrett with the dark arts. He's doing the dark arts. Tottenham Hotspur, dark arts, Sean Vergara. Dark arts.
Absolutely.
Dark arts. I've seen Harry Kane do some very dark arts sorts of things with those elbows flying around and those tackles that are a little ridiculous.
But
I know he's English. It's crazy that he does dark arts, but he does. Dark arts.
It's a universal trait. I don't know why.
It's the game. Atlanta United dark arts 4 card. Dark arts. Everybody does it sometimes.
But I give Manchester City a boatload of credit here for navigating what Atleti was
navigating. They were doing it too.
What I'm saying is,
don't make it the innocent and the bad guys and the good guys, the wonderful guys. They get credit for navigating the dark arts. Miami Fusion knew all the dark arts. Alex Pacine, all of them.
Absolutely,
Recky's a master.
Absolutely. But when you've got people pulling your hair, when you got people pushing.
Oh
no! But what I'm saying is, you have 2 choices. You can either match it or let it go and have that opponent dig a deeper hole for themselves.
No, you just play. No,
that's what you
John.
did.
No, John. You're acting like it's all on the same scale, but it's not. No. One, Pep Guardiola is a very smart man, and he knew that if he played Jack Grealish in this game, that Jack Grealish was getting sent off, so he didn't play him. And Grealish still got involved in something. He got his hair pulled.
The Gucci. Yes.
You have to be careful with some guys in these kinds of games. But Manchester City, like everybody has their things that they do. Chelsea dark arts, Michael Head, dark arts.
Absolutely.
They do them. Everybody does. You don't have to say absolutely after everyone. Everybody does it. Everybody. There's not a team in the world that is completely and utterly virtuous.
What?
I know, John, you watch the England and they get really worked up about these things and say some comments about other teams and other managers and other things that are very borderline, walking over some offensive things, and they try to walk the line well. But I've seen a few English teams with the dark arts in the day. I like every single one of them. I've seen some English national teams and players with some dark arts, every single one of them. It's part of the game. Jarrett trying the dark arts today. Are you going to actually talk to us now?
Yeah. Sorry,
Right,
had a personal call.
That's good. Is everything okay? Was it Diego Simeone yelling at you?
No, it wasn't Diego. Actually, it was
dark arts to dispose of that call.
No, I used the dark arts to dispose of the call. It was actually Ronnie Dyla. He had thoughts.
What are his thoughts on dark arts?
He
has Tati Castellanos, so he embraces it.
Yeah, I was about to say, Tati Castellanos almost got sent off in that game in the first 2 minutes, so I don't know what he could say.
You got to do what you got to do.
But then he had
Nico Ladero knows the dark arts too.
But then he had an absolutely brilliant dummy to set up the goal for New York City. Give him an untouched assist, if you will. Like when someone hits a dummy like that, they deserve an assist.
I agree.
No, it's Ronnie Dyla's thoughts were mostly frustration, but also, if I read everything right after the game, a little optimism, because I think that's the first time he has seen the New York City team that he knows he has.
Yep.
Because by all accounts, Stephen Fry should be flying first class with his feet up and a pillow under his legs and, a nice glass of scotch in his hand if he wants one after the work he did last night to keep Seattle from throwing that game away. New York City should feel good about where they are going forward. They're out of Champions League. That sucks. But now they focus on the league and the Open Cup, and they should feel good about what they showed last night.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, it's a game where you're never happy to go out in a tournament, but it's a game where you do come out of it feeling positive if you're New York City because you had a good performance. It's like we talked about with Atlanta and Charlotte over the weekend. When you play well, yeah, you can be disappointed about the result, but you don't take that to then be disappointed about the way you played because the result doesn't always define how you played. And their XG was over 3 in that game. I mean, if you're creating that and you're getting those kinds of opportunities and you're doing it and you only get one goal, you kind of have to tip your cap to the opposing goalkeeper, the opposing team, and move on. They needed a performance like that looked like NYC that won a title last year. Seattle looked like the team that can go to the CONCACAF Champions League final and win it. That's a good night for both. NYC is not going to be happy about going out, but they're going to be able to go focus on the league now and be in a good position with some confidence.
This is why when we talk about these two-legged playoffs in any competition, MLS, for the love of God, bring them back.
Yes, please.
I will keep yelling at you until you bring them back or until I die. One of the two happens first.
I want MLS Cup 2 legs, please.
That'd
be awesome.
That would be insane.
I want it because can you imagine the storylines between the games? People are going to be losing their minds.
Absolutely.
Somebody's going to have dark arts, Jarrett, and everybody's going to freak out about it.
Dark
arts. You mean like allegedly the Hawks did last night that Charlotte got in their feelings about in the continued Atlanta-Charlotte rivalry?
Dark arts are in every sport, everywhere.
As someone from Charlotte said, I've never seen a train parked there in my 20 years of coming here. Bull crap. The trains blocked everybody in their lives in downtown Atlanta. Underneath State Farm Arena is one of the largest train hubs in America.
Yeah, what? I've been stopped by that thing many times. What?
Don't tell me that train is there because of dark arts. Man, the train, half the time the trains don't even damn run on time. That's nothing new. That didn't stop you from getting blown out by 30 points and letting Danilo Gallinari dunk on you. I digress. Yeah, I mean, you're going to see dark arts everywhere, and it's fine. Like, it's part of the game, because if you get mad about it, hey, don't get too mad about it, because next time you got a 1-goal lead and guys are hurting, guys are tired, and you're trying to get that thing across the line, you're going to be okay with Brad Guzan taking a little bit longer, maybe picking up that yellow card for time wasting. Please do who was it who did it for New England against Philadelphia that we talk about all the time, where like the ball goes out of play. Yeah, Kessler. Ball goes out of play. He kicks it into the stands, then picks up the extra ball sitting there and throws that one into the stands as well. Beautiful. Hilarious. And yeah, you're mad when it happens to you, but when it happens for you, you're laughing your ass off.
Yeah, I mean, let's go to the 89th minute with 1-0 and City holding on to their lead. And the incident was as clear as it gets if you want to get into dark arts. So Phil Foden gets tripped up off the field. He's down. He rolls back onto the field. He gets hit. He's off the field. Good yard or so off the field. He rolls very intentionally onto the field. And Atleti players lose their minds because they screw up. You can't let it affect you there at 89th minute when you're getting chances, you're getting opportunities. You can't lose your mind. You got to put it on the referee.
My favorite thing is when that happens.
You try to drag him off.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing, where somebody tries to grab him and drag him off the field. You can't do it, but
no. But this is the thing, Jarrett. Like, and this is what happens in these games, and this is why people get skewed with this stuff. Where's Phil Foden from?
England.
What the club he plays for? Where are they from?
Oh, Manchester.
No, both, John. Both. Say it again, loud and proud.
What? Manchester City, England.
They're from England.
Oh, England.
And which country gets the most worked up about everybody else doing this stuff?
England.
Thank you. You caught on eventually.
Give me
yeah, it's early. But yeah, Foden, an English player, very smart. It's smart.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to waste time at that point. You know, you got a team on the edge. They're losing their heads. Why don't you provoke a little bit there? Take that extra roll and again and find the touchline and get on the field.
And you know, Pep was like, when they walked off the field at the end of the game, they got in the locker room. Pep was like, great work. Great job.
Pep's giving Foden a bonus. Foden's getting a nice meal out because of that for sure. Because that's part of the game. That's part of it. Now, look, the tunnel stuff afterwards, no, that's not part of the game. Game's over. That's stupid. And that's where you've completely lost your minds because everything boiled over. These guys, like, this is everything to them. And in women's games, like, don't tell me that the women don't employ dark arts either, because if you've ever played in a co-ed league,
go watch.
But just in any women's game too, you get this stuff.
Yeah, go watch the game where Abby Wambach hits Megan Rapinoe hits one of the most perfect crosses you'll ever see against Brazil in the Women's World Cup.
Yep.
And Megan Rapinoe's on the back post. All right, 2011. Go watch the 10 minutes prior to that. Watch how many. Marta, Cristiano also. Watch how many Brazilian players. There are at least 2 in that game. In that time frame, go down, just rolling around on the ground. Call for the stretcher. They get stretchered off the field. They hop right back up and run right back on the field. But of course, it's dark arts.
It's the same thing, though, that it happens with the English men a lot of times, happens with the U.S. women, because I remember the reactions to that. Look, when you're losing and Marta's rolling around, it drives you crazy. And you can complain about it. That's okay. But when you go further, and this is where some of this conversation has gone, that's frustrated me, and act like my people, my team, my country, my league, whatever, are completely innocent and would never do such a thing, and they're all very bad. That's just not true. I've seen U.S. women dive. I've seen U.S. women's national team players take extra time when they need to, because it's part of the game, because it's what you do, and it's okay. In the whistle to whistle, you know what you're getting in for. And
Brianna Scurry was 25 feet, not really, but like she came flying off her line in the 98 World Cup final.
And she was going to make that referee make the call.
Yeah.
But there's people who would argue that's not dark arts, but this is dark arts, but that's not, but this is. No. It's all in the dark arts category. It's all in that. And everybody does it in different ways. But the reactions, the pearl clutching about the dark arts is just stop. Atleti has been very, very successful playing the way that they play. Diego Simeone is one of the best coaches in the world. To do what he's done with Atleti is incredible. Did they have enough to beat Manchester City? No, nobody thought that they did. Dark arts accentuated or no dark arts. Nobody thought they were going to be good enough to beat City. They almost did, didn't they? They almost pulled it off. That's a credit to Simeone. It's a credit to his work. It's a credit to what they do. Because, again, it's not just practice sessions are not, okay, you 10 guys stand in the penalty area. You're going to try to keep these other guys from scoring a goal. Just stand there. Just kick it as far away as you can. Oh, and fall down a few times and grab that guy's hair and do this. You're not practicing that stuff. You're actually training, and you're organized, and you're getting structured, and you know what you're going to do to defend, and you know what you're going to do to try to break out, and you know what you're going to do to try to get these attacking guys in dangerous spots from the way you play. Diego Simeone puts in incredible work in organizing this team and getting players to do what he wants them to do. And he's been very successful at a club that is below Real Madrid and Barcelona in the scale in Spain. Credit to him. Credit to him. It's not a good bad situation. He's made it work because that's the team he is. That's the team that he has branded in his image. Good for him. Does it mean you have to like it? No. Don't misunderstand this. No, I don't like it. I like a team that plays in the ways that I talk about on the show all the time. That's what I like. Do I like the way Philadelphia plays? No, I don't. Do I respect them for doing what they do and being as successful as they are with what they do and how much work it takes to play that way? Absolutely, I do. You cannot like it and still respect it. That's the part that we seem to lose the plot on sometimes. I don't like the way Atleti plays. I'll watch somebody else if I get the choice. But in this game, with this kind of drama, it was very compelling. It was fascinating to see. And it was fascinating to see Atleti lose their heads as they got frustrated late and get focused on some of that stuff rather than actually winning the game that they were the better team in.
There had to be fans all over Spain cackling at that.
No. There's going to be fans all over Spain who are going to be cackling at Atleti losing because they hate Atleti. There's going to be fans, but there's also going to be fans all over Spain who are going to be like, man, that was a great show. That was a great effort. And good on them for giving it a go and almost beating City. There's going to be a lot of smaller team fans who don't have the hatred for Atleti, who have seen their teams play in similar kinds of ways and don't have the hangups about it and are going to say, man, that was incredible. They almost did it. They almost did it because they almost did. They almost pulled it off. It would have been an incredible upset if they had. They couldn't do it. So they're out. City moves on. They're going to play Real Madrid. We don't get the Battle of Madrid. We get City in Madrid, which that's going to be a blast. And we get Liverpool and Villarreal. And go ahead and start queuing up the Liverpool fans complaining about dark arts because Villarreal will be defensive. They will do what they did to Bayern. They will make it difficult. Will they be able to beat Liverpool? Probably not. But go ahead. What I'm going to ask Liverpool fans to do, can you cross out plucky upstarts on your note card? And can you go read what everybody said about Atleti and go ahead and put Villarreal next to it? Go ahead and prepare the note card because that's what's coming.
Villarreal also went into Munich and earned a draw. They got them through. Like I know they're defensive, but like it's not like they stole a goal at home and then spent 90 minutes trying to kill somebody. They managed. They got a draw. They got the goal they needed in Munich. They earned a road draw in that process. They earned that. And you can talk about Bayern Munich being a disappointment and Bayern Munich letting themselves down. Villarreal still had to go in there and get a draw in Munich, which is something a lot of clubs on this planet have not been able to say they can do.
But Jarrett, they wasted
no.
They wasted
I don't care. I don't care. They went in there and they got a draw in Munich is something that a lot of people can't say they did. They can do. And yeah, it's gonna be frustrating. But you think Klopp doesn't know what's ahead of him? Klopp's a great manager. He knows what he's getting himself into here with this game. He's gonna have those conversations with those guys about, hey, here's what's gonna happen. Here's what we have to prepare for. Here's where your head needs to be.
Of course. No, he knows. I'm telling the fans to get the note cards ready because you got to have those insults ready to go. Because that's what Villarreal is going to put you through. They're going to try to take away what you do. They're going to try to make it difficult for you. John, you still respecting Unai Emery?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I went through the math yesterday.
Yeah, just all you needed to do is just apologize to the man. But anyway, he's going to come in and be really well set up. He's going to be really well set up. Burn, you're 100% right. I watched it last night in the high school game that I did with Northview and Calhoun. Burns said there's time wasting in middle school games in Metro Atlanta. There's time wasting in high school games. There's time wasting in U14 games. It's part of the game. When you have a structure the way that you do, you're going to do these things. I think the thing is that you have to understand is Captain Ragamuffin says Unai Emery is not Diego Simeone. I know he's not. But when they start defending and time wasting, get numbers on the ball, I can already hear the Liverpool fans complaining about it, because that's what we've generally seen in English fans in these situations. And the whole Diego Simeone is an evil person kind of thing. Can we stop that? Can we stop that? That's absurd. He has coached a team in the way that he is. Ragamuffin, stop, man. It's ridiculous, because there's plenty of coaches who are like that. Simeone is a very difficult figure, of course, as a coach. Of course he is. He's created a team in that personality, in that style, and man, they've been pretty successful. Not like him, that's fine. Name calling's a little absurd, but you've got to respect him. You got to respect what he's done. If you don't, you're fooling yourself, because you're going to find coaches who will do these things and will look for every advantage they possibly can and will take whatever they can to get their team through. And if they're not doing that, they're probably not doing their jobs. Simeone has a team that has been punching above their weight for a long time. Credit to him. But you're going to get those complaints. Liverpool fans are going to do it. And look, maybe they won't, put the ire towards Simeone or towards Emery the way that they would have if it had been Simeone in that kind of situation. But they're still going to complain about time wasting. They're still going to complain about putting numbers behind the ball and being defensive. It's going to happen. Buckle up, get ready. And Villarreal is going to make it difficult for Liverpool. They should get through. Liverpool had to sweat a little, not much, a little. They maybe broke a sweat against Benfica in the second game, but they had a huge cushion. They should get through just fine. They should get through this weekend, because I think City's going to be exhausted both physically and mentally after this Atleti series. And that was my fear coming into this FA Cup game this weekend, is that City would be dead. Liverpool would be okay after the Benfica game, and Liverpool will have the big advantage on the weekend. I think they will. And then it might actually help City by not having the extra FA Cup game, and we'll see where all that goes going down the road. We'll see how the semifinals go, because look, if you're going by the odds makers, it's going to be a Liverpool City Champions League final. Real Madrid's going to have something to say about that. Villarreal's going to have something to say about that. Like them or not, they are going to have something to say about it. Yeah, Ragamuffin's got some issues with Diego Simeone from past defeats. That's what it is. It's tough. He drives you crazy. Team drives you crazy. But man, they're good at what they do. And they almost pulled this off against a team that's far better than them, in my opinion. So do you think, John, that it's going to be City and Liverpool in the Champions League finals? Is that what we're looking at? That's your English teams.
Yeah, I think it will be difficult, but I think that's where we're leaning. Yeah, I don't think this is going to be a cakewalk for either side. And you were mentioning odds makers, and I wanted to double check the numbers for the FA Cup semi, just as kind of a backup to what we've been talking about. They have come a lot closer than they were initially. Manchester City was further down the line, closer to a plus 100, but right now you're looking at a plus 156 for Manchester City and a plus 180 for Liverpool. It's come to the center a little bit.
Those numbers were crazy to begin with, because you knew. I mean, we talked about it on Soccer Over There. I don't get everything right, but I had a pretty good feeling that Liverpool was going to be just fine against Benfica and City was going to suffer against Atleti. Mm-hmm. It wasn't hard to see that. And that's what we had. And when we did Soccer Over There, City was a plus 125, Liverpool was a plus 230. I jumped on Liverpool with both feet, because I think Liverpool's going to win the game, because I think City is going to they're beat up. They've got some muscle injuries they're going to have to deal with. But I think they're going to be emotionally tired when you have to go through a game that requires that much mental focus because of all the stuff. It's tough. It's tough. It takes a lot out of you. And they've been going through a lot. I think this is the one where they hit the wall. If City wins this after what they did against Atleti, wow, that'd be amazing. But I don't think they can do it. I think Liverpool takes advantage of a beat-up Manchester City and goes through in the FA Cup. But then what matters here, Sorry, the FA Cup's not as important as the Champions League. I know. Go ahead and yell at me in England, but in the Champions League, I would assume, Jarrett, that everybody is looking outside of Spain at a City Liverpool final. Liverpool beating Villarreal and City beating Real Madrid in the semifinals. I would assume that's what people are looking at.
Yeah, I would think so. I feel confident saying Liverpool getting through their semifinal. I don't know if I share the same confidence for Manchester City
No, I
with
don't
Real
either.
Madrid.
I don't either.
Real Madrid just kind of keeps doing that meme of the Grim Reaper going through room by room and leaving a puddle of blood behind him. They just kind
John,
of keep.
check your odds on the Champions League semifinals.
Okay.
Go ahead, Jared. Sorry,
I've got it when you.
Oh, go ahead,
Jared,
John. I want to hear it.
Okay, go ahead, John.
Right now, Manchester City a minus 189 in the composite.
Yeah, that's a
Uh,
lot bigger than it should be.
yeah. Real Madrid a plus 362 and Real themselves a plus 508 in the composite.
That one I get. The Real Madrid one at that number, good grief. That is disrespectful. That is just flat out disrespectful.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jared.
And so the first game is going to matter, of course, because we ran into this with New York City and Seattle. If you can get out of your first game, especially if it's on the road, and keep it within striking distance, just don't you can't win the tie in the first leg, but you can sure as hell lose it.
Yeah.
If you can keep it within striking distance, which, hey, if New York had not given up that third goal to Seattle, we got a really interesting situation on our hands last night.
Yep.
And if, however this plays out, if let's say Real Madrid goes into Manchester and gets out of there in a similar situation to what Atleti had, down 1-0 or draw, you're in a really good situation. Just don't lose it in the first leg.
Yeah, I mean it's those numbers are crazy to me. That's definitely some English bias, I think, because Villarreal high number, I can buy that. They're a surprise to be here. That's fine. But Real Madrid to be that high of a number, we get to April 26th. So you got a week off from this, and then you're going to have Manchester City host the first leg, Real Madrid host the second leg. I think that helps Real Madrid a lot. But you get almost plus 400 on Real Madrid.
That's some
I
juice
might need to take stock of my juice boxes because wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Ragamuffin. I mean, I agree with you. Unai Emery knows how to win trophies, but I think this is such a gap in quality between a Villarreal and a Liverpool that you can preemptively give Emery his credit, but if Liverpool doesn't win, it's a massive failure to not beat Villarreal in a Champions League semi.
So Ricky Ricardo helped me with this yesterday because this was the stat I was trying to find yesterday. He helped me find it after the show.
Teamwork.
It was teamwork. Since 1992, 1993, Madrid has beaten the reigning champions of the Champions League 5 times in the knockout rounds.
Mm-hmm.
The previous 4 times they've done that, they have gone on to win the whole thing.
Okay. I mean, that's a great coincidence. Can they do that this time? Yeah, absolutely they can.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely they can. I mean, let's look at where City is coming out of this thing. De Bruyne's got some kind of a muscle injury after chasing the ball down. You're missing Kevin De Bruyne. Oof. Kyle Walker landed heavily on his ankle. He couldn't continue. You don't really have a natural replacement. Nathan Ake was the replacement yesterday. That's going to be tough, not just for this game coming up with FA Cup. Guardiola talked about it. He said, we're in big trouble. We played 3 days ago against a tough Liverpool. Travel, come here, have a lot of injuries right now. I'm not sure what will happen in the next weeks. But yeah, we'll celebrate at home. It's the 3rd time in Manchester City history that we're in the semifinals of the Champions League. It came at a cost because if you've got these injuries piling up and you got to deal with FA Cup and you got to deal with being perfect in the league because you weren't able to beat Liverpool last time out in the league, and you got to be perfect. You got to win everything knowing that every game's a final now. And you got to deal with Real Madrid in 2 legs, where Real Madrid, they're comfortable in the league. They're good. Are they going to punt anything? Nah. But can they rest some guys going into those Champions League games? Yep. And you got a team that knows exactly who they are. And you've got one of the most even-keeled managers you could possibly find in Carlo Ancelotti, who has been to the semifinals of the Champions League 8 times in his career. Second most. Jose Mourinho has been to the semifinals of the Champions League 8 times, tied for second most with Carlo. Sir Alex Ferguson, 7 times. Pep Guardiola passed them all 9 out of 13 times to the Champions League semifinals. But he doesn't know how to win, and he's not as good as people think he is, and all the kind of
his time at Manchester City is a failure.
Whatever, you know, blah 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 blah. Cue up the stupid retread narratives, whatever. 9 out of 13 times he's been to the Champions League semifinals. That's the best of anybody. But he's got to deal with Carlo, who's been there 8 times and just knows his way around these situations. And he's going to have a fresher squad. There's just no way to argue it. He's going to have a fresher squad. I can very easily see Real Madrid knocking off Manchester City here. Can very easily see that happening. Let's get a couple weeks down the road, and we'll see where City is at that point. We'll see about these injuries. We'll see if they've been able to recover. We'll see where they are in the league, because look, where they are, the mental strain that they're going to have to go through. You drop one league game, you know that could be it. You might lose the league. You could be out of everything. They could go trophyless. It's not hard to see that path for them. And when it starts to get away, let's say they lose this weekend, which they'll trade for the league and for Champions League. Absolutely, they'll trade it if they get to choose, but they don't. Say they lose this weekend. Okay, I think they'll be okay. Let's say they draw the league game coming in to the Real Madrid match at home. That's going to add extra pressure. That's going to affect them mentally. I can definitely see Real Madrid going through. Let's get down the road a couple weeks. We'll get into this when we get there. But man, Ancelotti is the guy who Pep does not want to see on the other side right now. It's different than seeing like a Simeone or seeing a Klopp or a Bielsa, like those teams that are going to make you suffer physically. It's different than seeing a Simeone who's going to make you suffer mentally and physically, but definitely mentally. This is going to be somebody who just Carlo, Benzema, Modric, what have they not seen in the game? Nothing. What would upset them mentally in the game? Nothing. They're ice. Like, it's going to be nothing for them. It's like, yeah, whatever. That's David Ensign Y. Cool. Big game. Woo! We've been there before. And City could be coming in just on a nice edge emotionally with everything going on. There's so many games within the game in this one. I can't wait to see it. I think it'll be great. I think Liverpool-Villarreal will be an entertaining series too. I think Liverpool should grab control of that, should be able to take care of business. But they've got some of that mental strain too, even though they're chasing, which is a better position to be in. When you're Manchester City and you should have had the league sewn up and you don't, and then you just went through a war, and now you got to go through this and you're beat up, you're feeling the strain of being chased. Liverpool's chasing. If they don't win the league, it's like, oh, well, City was supposed to win it back in January anyway. Liverpool's got everything in front of them. They can go get stuff. City's trying to hold on to stuff. That's a different mentality altogether. It's going to be fascinating. I can't wait to see it. Other stuff on the news front before we wrap up hour number 1. We got Europa League today. No Jamie Vardy for the Europa Conference League. He is out. He's got a knee problem. No other injuries for Leicester. Serginho Dest on the Europa League side should be back. Declared fit for their match against Eintracht Frankfurt, 1-1 coming into the second leg in Spain. Lyon and West Ham, 1-1. No Kurt Zuma with an ankle injury. No Aaron Cresswell. He was sent off in the first leg. And for Rangers, what are your Rangers expectations? Rangers hater Jarrett Smith.
Rangers hater. Wow.
Well, it's true.
It's more of a petty it's more of a petty existence.
It's true.
It's more of a sniping existence more so than a frontal assault.
an
Thank you
accurate
very
statement, and
much.
you know it.
Yeah. Actually, I'm hopeful that they can at least get this even and take it extra time. Um, don't know what their health situation is going to be. Does Aaron Ramsey have anything left in the tank to contribute? I know they've got guys banged up. Not having a Buffalo really does hurt. Like, you don't have another striker who brings not just the physicality and insanity that he has, but his movement off the ball. Like, Morelos moves really well off the ball, like better than he gets credit for. He's not just this hulk of a psychopath. Like, he's pretty smart about the way he does things. Um, I attribute a good bit of that to Steven Gerrard for kind of getting him to learn how to harness that aggression instead of just being a lunatic all the time. But you don't really have another striker who can wrestle at the top like that and who can play up there by himself. Are they going to be able to generate something from the midfield? Tavernier overlapping on the right side, coming from the right back spot, and then does Braga attack down that vacated space? How do you balance this? Because you're at home, Braga knows you're coming. They know how you're going to do things, and they're going to be looking to hit those gaps.
Yeah, Braga's got the 1-0 lead coming into Glasgow. We'll see if Rangers can overturn that. Atalanta hosting Leipzig 1-1 coming into it. Total toss-up on the odds makers there. That should be a really good game. I'm looking forward to seeing that one. Barcelona, Eintracht Frankfurt, also a really good game, and you can do them back-to-back. Atalanta, Leipzig is the 12:45. Barcelona, Eintracht Frankfurt is the 3 o'clock. Barcelona, huge favorite, went to Germany, got the 1-1. They should be positioned well for the second leg. We'll see if they can do it. They've been one of the best teams in Europe since Xavi took over. Lyon and West Ham again 1-1. Lyon in France, pretty big favorite. Not huge, not crazy. Plus 115 to plus 225 for West Ham. Rangers plus 105 here. Bigger favorite at home to win over Braga, who is a plus 250. You get into the Europa Conference League, PSV and Leicester. It's scoreless after the first leg. Second leg is in the Netherlands. PSV, a big favorite on this one at plus 110. PAOK and Marseille. Marseille got the 2-1 in their home leg. They are a slight favorite on the road at PAOK. Roma and Bodo Glimt is the one that I'm sure Jarrett will be watching at 3 o'clock, as Bodo Glimt has a 2-1 lead going into Italy.
I love watching Bodo Glimt. And part of this is I watched them absolutely eviscerate Celtic. And they were a joy to watch in the way they did it. Yeah, Roma didn't learn their lesson the first time, so I guess it's the SpongeBob meme of how many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man? But they're saying it directly to Jose Mourinho.
So. They didn't lose 6-1 this time around. They lost 2-1, and they get the home leg here. Roma is a minus 333. Bodo Glimt to win is a plus 900. To draw is a plus 425.
I'd be really tempted to take that plus 900 just because of the number.
You're a total degenerate.
Yeah, probably.
Slavia Praha and Feyenoord, speaking of degenerates, 3-3 first leg. Feyenoord is a road favorite at plus 140 in the second leg. Now, we know the semifinals in both competitions, what they could look like. Leipzig, Atalanta winner will face Braga or Rangers. You get a Rangers-Leipzig semifinal, Jarrett. How excited would you be about that?
I'd be very interested in what that looks like.
Or Rangers Atalanta. That'd be very interesting, too.
Yeah, it would be. I'd be very interested to see how that would go. And this is, we talked about this, I think, on Soccer Over There, but this is where Rangers needs to put all of their eggs. The split is out. Yeah. They had their last game against Celtic is going to be at Celtic Park because of the way the schedule broke this year, and that is the second of 5 on the split. This is between this and the Scottish Cup coming up with the final against Celtic. This is where your eggs need to be because you are 6 points back in the league. You haven't really been. They had a good weekend. They actually had a good win over the weekend, but this is European immortality you're talking about. This is where your eggs need to be.
Yeah, you got to go for it. You've got way too much.
Sacrifice whatever you got this weekend and go for this.
Yeah, I think they will. So if you go by the favorites, you would have Atalanta and Rangers, but you could have Leipzig and Braga as well. Other side, but going by the favorites, it'd be Lyon and Barcelona, but West Ham could pip Lyon, and Eintracht Frankfurt could pull a shocking upset in Spain over Barcelona to get through. Conference League semifinals, Leicester or PSV versus Bodo Glimt or Roma, Feyenoord or Slavia Prague.
Please give me
versus
Leicester
Marseille or
getting
Pau.
scalped by Bodo Glimt.
You are going to get Bodo Glimt jerseys everywhere.
Yes.
It's
That's where it's going.
You have a team that I have adopted after they murdered my team, and then you have them potentially going up against Brendan Rodgers. What the hell do you think I'm going to do?
It's true. Their manager will not be on the touchline. The suspension was upheld after appeal. So there was a video from the tunnel fight with Roma staff and the Bodo Glimt manager that you really couldn't tell too much of it, but it did not look like a normal, I don't like you, bleep, 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 push, push, like kind of a scrap. It looked pretty intense from what we could see through the door.
Europe, y'all need to get on our level, Europe. We have our fights in bottle service lights at halftime, not at the end of the game. Come on.
We'll see where this goes. Bodo Glimt fans have shown up in Rome with their manager Newton, his face, like masks that they're wearing, paper masks over their faces with his face on it.
It's a level of psychosis that they have, and again, they lean really hard in the psychology of the game. Part of that is because they're in the damn Arctic Circle.
Yeah,
they have to. It's a weird place to live and operate. They are incredibly hard on the psychological part of the game.
It is. All right, Jarrett. We appreciate your service today.
Do you though?
I was trying to be nice.
That's fair. Jason Nix is mad at me because I'm picking. I'm rooting for Leicester's downfall. So Jason Nix is upset with me. We'll deal with that later.
That's some old school hatred right there. You hate Rangers and you hate Brendan Rodgers, I think.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like Ange Postecoglou is putting together one of the most fun seasons I can remember, and I'm still like being petty about everything else around me. It's a mood.
I was petty about seeing a Celtic flag at an establishment where I was having dinner last night in Johns Creek before the game that I called. I'm like, what is the Celtic flag doing in here?
Honestly, I don't know if that is or not, but I know there's a Celtic fan club. There's at least one Celtic fan club in Atlanta that does like, watch along sort of stuff, and that might be one of the places they do it, but I'm not positive.
Yeah, I don't know. It was Johnny's New York Pizza in Johns Creek,
right
up the road from Northview High School, and they had Atlanta United flag. Awesome. They had all the Atlanta teams. They had a Georgia flag. They had a Georgia Tech flag. They had an Auburn flag. Okay. Some people are going to have feelings about that. But they had, outside of the Atlanta United flag, they had two other soccer team flags up there in this row that did not make much sense. They had Celtic and they had Tottenham.
It'd have been weirder if it was like Celtic and Racing.
Oh, I mean, you could have got weirder. Duh. You could have had Bodo Glimt, Jared.
Get him.
When you open your bar, you're going to have a Bodo Glimt
flag up at Johnny's in Alpharetta.
I don't know if I'm not going to follow Bodo Glimt or follow their manager, but their manager is one of the hot names for a lot of clubs who are looking for, not necessarily for the big name manager, but trying to find the next young manager that they can bring in and ride the momentum of.
We will see. You will be riding the momentum of Bodo Glimt in Italy today. We'll talk about Europa League and Europa Conference League tomorrow as we also get into our MLS preview and all that. And Jarrett will be back for that, I hope, tomorrow, right?
Yeah, fastest 30 minutes, which I don't know why we call it the fastest 30 minutes. It's like making the Kessel. It's like messing.
No, it's usually right about 30. Like I'm really trying to stay on that. There might be a little bit of stoppage time. I mean, come on, it's soccer. We're gonna have the dark arts. They're gonna happen for sure. Jarrett's gonna go off on a tangent about something and eat up time. It's what he does.
Yeah, but it's like doing the whole Kessel run, a 20 parsec thing. It's not a measurement of it's the difference between a measurement of distance and a measurement of time. Fastest 30 minutes. Like 30 minutes is 30 minutes. It's like Chris Berman did like the fastest 2 minutes. Like what did you get near a wormhole to speed time up or dilute it?
Oh, okay. So you're taking it literally versus interpretively.
Yes, I'm taking it literally. Like Chris Berman is somehow circling a wormhole to stretch out time and space. I'm going to leave now. Jason's done with this.
Jared. It's a figure of speech, Jared. Bye.
See ya.
Get out. All right. John, tell us about our good friends over at Eliminize.
Can certainly do that. QR code over my left shoulder for those of you watching on Twitch. Eliminize service for odor-free, clean, fresh air. One place you need to go, and it's Eliminize service. Deodorizing enclosed spaces like houses, apartments, and condos, they've created a customized solution that eliminizes all organic odors, including those like pets, cigarettes, and food. Realtors and property managers use Eliminize to help eliminate bad odors, to help them sell or rent those facilities that much faster. It's a turnkey approach that makes it easy to work with realtors and property managers. Kind to the environment. We like that these days. A very green way to get rid of odors without any kind of toxic residue whatsoever. Different than our favorite masking agents, because the masking agent, all it does is it masks the odor. It does not attack the problem. Eliminize service, with their proven scientific formula, destroys the odor all the way down to the molecule. Pricing easy one of two ways, either cubic feet or parts per million, to make sure it is a way that is affordable for you to pair up with Eliminize service, offering results in 24 hours or less. If you have any questions, frequently asked or otherwise, you can go to the website, eliminize.com. But do us a favor here at SDH. After the .com, go /Atlanta so they know what part of the world that you are reaching out to them from. So the website, ELIMINIZE.com /Atlanta. Eliminize.com /Atlanta for odor-free, clean, fresh air. Eliminize service, proud sponsors of everything SDH.
Not bad. You even hit the little mark at the end.
Oh, wow.
Which you didn't know was coming. But
no, I didn't.
It was just luck.
It was.
You
Absolutely.
just take it.
Yes. Take it and run.
You just take it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We are going to play the interview I did yesterday with Nicolas Firmino, but I do want to clarify, because I know how these things can get started. Okay, Ricky, I was not saying that I was surprised by seeing an Auburn flag. I was surprised that I didn't see an Alabama and Tennessee and all the other nearby schools' flags. I just saw Auburn along with Georgia and Georgia Tech. Didn't even say I was surprised. I just said there was an Auburn flag and people would have issues with that, because some would, like Alabama fans.
Yes.
Or Tennessee fans.
The rest of the SEC. Yes.
Or anybody else. I was not surprised. I've grown up in Atlanta. I've seen plenty of Auburn things in my day. And maybe they turned my stomach a little bit. Just saying. Oh, Ricky, just calm down. You took something somewhere else, and I know how things get started, so I was clarifying. And now all the Auburn fans can yell. This was at Johnny's New York Pizza, Kevin, and it was just the Atlanta teams, not a surprise. The local schools, not a surprise. Surprise, some were left out. The Celtic and Tottenham flags were a surprise.
Yes.
I did not expect to see Hawks, Braves, Tech, Tottenham, Auburn, Georgia, Falcons, Celtic. That was the part I was like, what? Man, Ricky's too fired up. Ricky, I can't talk to you anymore. I'm sorry. Bring up Auburn and it gets out of hand. I tried to give you Real Madrid a lot of props earlier, and it's already been washed away. All right, let's hear from our good friend Nicolas Firmino of Atlanta United 2. We started off by actually, after we finished, we talked a lot about World Cup and about coaches and different things. We talked Champions League. I learned that Nicolas is a big Pep Guardiola fan, and also a very big Brazil fan, which you'll hear. But we started the interview talking about the last match Atlanta United 2 played against Detroit City and what Detroit City did to make it so difficult for the Twos.
Yeah, like you said, it was a difficult game for us coming off the back of 2 wins. We were trying to keep it rolling. But I do think their high press early in the game did affect us. We had struggled building out and getting in the final third. But and obviously conceding early was tough as well. And then going into halftime down 3-0 was but I did feel like the team had a bigger sense of urgency coming out in the second half and creating more. And obviously, the ref missed a couple questionable calls with the P and 2 people, sent off. But all we can do now is watch the film, which we did, learn from it and get ready for Indy.
Yeah, and the 2 performances coming in, I thought were really impressive, and you were a huge part of that on the road victory in Hartford, kind of going back to your old stomping grounds, at least close by. What was it like for you to have such a big day up in the New England area?
It was great. It was special because I had think 16. I asked for 16 tickets
Oh,
that
wow.
day. You know, friends and family coming over. My mom, my dad, my brother. You know, some cousins, best friends, and you know, for us to have, you know, get our first road win, and for me to get two, you know, in front of the family, it was really special, but also a really big one for us.
Yeah, your role here in Atlanta has been a little different than I expected, a little different than what I knew of you coming in. You've been a little deeper at times in the midfield. How are you liking the adjustment playing for Jack Collison and playing in the Atlanta United system?
Oh, it's been great. Jackson instilled a lot of trust in me, you know, since I've gotten here. And, you know, the way we like to build, we like to take risks. We like to play out of everything. And, you know, for me to be deeper, it's just, you know, a way for me to get more touches and help the team building out. And, you know, it's been really great so far.
Your quality on the ball is something that jumped out to me when I started hearing about you with the New England Revolution, playing for the Revs 2 and USL League 1, and then out in Union Omaha. Let's start with your time with New England. Who were some of the players with the first team? Who were some of the coaches that really made an impact on you during your time with the Revolution?
Um, I would say for the players, it would be, you know, the veterans, Teal Bunbury, Angel Farrell, obviously Tail, you know, MLS MVP now. You know, players I take different things from different players. You know, they taught me how to be a good pro, um, you know, how to watch film and you know, evaluate your games. And obviously, you know, as a coach, Bruce taught me a lot, Brad taught me a lot. And even my academy coaches coming up taught me a lot, made me a better player.
It's always a tough situation when it doesn't break through at the club that you started at. I know a lot of Revs fans were surprised. I was surprised when you ended up moving out to Union Omaha. How did the move to Omaha come about? And you get a USL League One title in your year there. What was that season like for you?
Um, yeah, like you said, I was a little surprised as well, as were many people, you know, in my circle when that happened. You know, I had been with the Revs since I was 14, 13 years old. So came up through the academy and side of things, you know, things happen out of your control. And, you know, when that happened and I was looking for a team, Jay Mims, head coach at Union Omaha, really reached out to me, you know, a couple times actually. And, you know, told me he had a winning culture and thought we can do something special. So, you know, as soon as I heard that, I jumped at it, and you know, thankfully we had a really good year and then won the whole thing.
So then the move to Atlanta United comes about and started seeing you popping up in preseason. Was very excited when I noticed you were joining the group. What sold you on coming to Atlanta?
Like you know, playing for Jack is a dream for any midfielder. You know, he wants to take risks. He wants to create overloads. He wants to get on the ball. He wants to outpossess every team. And you know, when we lose it, he wants to press instantly. So for me, it was really a perfect fit. And you know, I'm thankful for Jack and the staff for believing in me. And I know we have a special group.
What's been the biggest surprise with coming into a new club, a new coaching staff, new teammates? What's been your biggest surprise in the ATL so far?
Biggest surprise. Good question. I would say the attention to detail, you know, in a positive way. You know, how everyone, you know, how the sessions are planned out, you know, how the gym sessions are planned out, how everything's structured, every training purpose. And, you know, we're not just going out there and doing passing drills, you know, for no reason. Every specific team plays a certain way. And what we do to counter that, we do in training throughout the week to see if, you know, if it'll give us the best chance to win.
You get a lot of interaction with the first team here in Atlanta as well. How have those experiences been for you so far?
It's been good. I was actually training with them yesterday, and you know, it's very intense. You know, it's obviously the next level, the level I want to get to, and you know, you can see why those guys are there. You know what I mean? There's a lot you can learn from them, and you know, and that's what I strive to be. So every time I'm there, I just take it in and work as hard as possible and try to show well for myself.
Kind of going back to the early days for you, when you were a kid, what's your first soccer memory? Either watching a game or playing or with the family. What's your first soccer memory?
I would say my first soccer memory is first soccer. I would say playing with my dad at the field, just me and my dad.
Yeah.
I used to do that a lot, so that's definitely one of the core memories I have.
Very cool.
When I did
Very
play
cool.
soccer.
When you started to follow it a little bit closely, and you start to have those heroes that you look up to. Like I always tell the story about, for me, it was Diego Maradona. Seeing him in a World Cup, that was the first poster I had on my wall of a soccer player.
Yeah.
Who was that first player for you that grabbed your attention that you said, yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to be like that?
Well, there's two. The first one I saw on YouTube was Ronaldinho. I would watch him on YouTube for hours. And try to go on the field and do what he was doing. But the first player I started watching on TV and wanting to be like him was Neymar, I would say.
Okay.
And he was at Santos.
Please tell me you were watching the Ronaldinho, the little like flip-flop move, and trying to pull that off in the backyard.
Of course. Everyone's doing that. And I know you know the when he gets new boots.
Yep.
He puts them on and he's hitting the crossbar and it's bouncing back to his chest.
Yep.
I thought that was real until I was like 15.
That is awesome, man. I had the Ronaldinho boots when I was playing in adult leagues and stuff. When those came out, like that commercial sold me. I didn't think I could do it, but I wanted to at least pretend.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome stuff. How do you like Brazil's chances in the World Cup this year?
I'm loving it. I don't want to jinx anything, but I'm loving it because now Vinny Jr. and Real is really coming into his own. If Neymar is, God willing, he's healthy, Rafinha, we got a good group. Paqueta, we got a good group. So hopefully we can do some damage.
See, now you and Luis and Mateus with the first team are going to have to join the trash talking that's going to be going on around the training ground with all the Argentines, with Gonzalo and his staff, with all the Americans. It's going to get intense as this year goes on.
No, there's a lot of, it's a very diverse team. But yeah, like I said, hopefully I'm talking the most trash because Brazil's just blowing everyone out.
Yeah, I think you guys are the favorite. I'm an Argentina guy outside of the U.S., and I'm a little concerned. I think you guys are the favorite walking in. We'll see where this can go.
There's always Messi, but
there is. He's a little bit older now, but he's still got that magic when he needs it. I'm excited to see where this thing goes. This weekend, you guys are on the road at Indy 11. One of the tougher places to play in USL Championship. What are you expecting out of the response from your group this weekend?
A positive response for sure. Controlling the things we can control, which is, our effort, working hard to get the ball back, off the ball, and then our quality will shine through. And like you said, it's a tough place to play, but our group is ready for the task. Like I said, we've been watching film, we've been getting ready all week, and it should be a good one.
Fun conversation with Nicolas Firmino. Great to catch up with him. He was a signing that I really liked, and went back to look at a little bit of what happened with him in New England and leaving Omaha or going to Omaha. And Revs fans were all unanimously surprised that they let him go. Ends up in Omaha, and when he popped up here in preseason, I'm like, wait a minute, I know him. Like he's legit. And Byrne mentioned it in the Twitch pitch, and it's dead on. Like he's been a very attack-minded player throughout his career. So far this season, a little bit by necessity, he's been playing as an 8. And can he be, a little bit of that flying 8, that old school kind of flying 8 that we talked about with Miguel Almiron? Different, characteristics. But can he be an attack-minded box-to-box midfielder? Yeah, I think he's still learning the position and figuring it out. But you add that to his repertoire, and we saw what he did in the air in Hartford. We've seen his ability on the ground. We've seen his ability with the ball at his feet. He's a good dribbler. He's a good technical player. He's one of those kinds of players that, and we've talked about this with the twos, and we talk about this with Academy, with projecting guys. I think ability-wise, he projects as an MLS player to me. And when you're able to get him, and look, players sometimes fall through the cracks. Sometimes they don't fit. maybe New England said, well, he doesn't fit here, or we've got these players ahead of him. So, we'd rather let him go. He can go find a spot somewhere else rather than keep him here third, fourth, fifth in line. Whatever the reason, sometimes when those guys move, it creates this opportunity. And Firmino in Atlanta, I like the possibility of potentially seeing him move up the ladder. I think he's got that possibility. And I think having somebody like Jack Collison, as that guy training you, like, hey, you've done this in your career. Let's see if we can add this ability for you to play as an 8 and make you even more multifaceted. Gives him more of an opportunity to move up.
Yeah, and in New England, he mentioned he learns from folks like Teal Bunbury and Andrew Farrell. You learn from a coach like Bruce Arena. Now that you're here in Atlanta, you learn from Jack Collison. All the time that you're getting with the first team, with all the firepower that's up there, you get to be with Gonzalo Pineda and learn from there. And just adding these pieces to Nicolas Firmino's game. It's been interesting to see him early on this year playing in that deeper role. But then you see what he's capable of in Hartford, and it's just adding all of these pieces to make that next step for him. And it's been an interesting build so far, just for the short time that we've been able to see Nicolas Firmino with Atlanta United too.
Yeah, I think Firmino is legit, and I think he's going to be a player to keep an eye on as we go deeper into this season. Some other things on the news and rumor front before Niko Moreno joins us here in a bit. Newcastle chasing Christian Eriksen. They want to make him their flagship summer signing, according to the Northern Echo. But Tottenham, Everton, West Ham all want to get him, and Brentford would like to keep him. So Christian Eriksen is now very much in demand after some great performances with Brentford and with the Denmark national team. Fernandinho mentioned that he said he was going to leave City at the end of the year. Corinthians, Botafogo, and Flamengo have all stepped up about trying to bring him back. He wants to go back to his former side, Atletico Paranaense, is what it sounds like, according to Globo Esporte. That is Mateus Rossetti's former club as well. West Ham, they have entered the race to sign Leverkusen winger Moussa Diaby, 22-year-old French international, also being tracked by Liverpool as a potential replacement for Mo Salah, should he leave. Reportedly, Liverpool is going to put a lot of money in front of Mo Salah to not leave. This one's, I don't know. Maybe I'm reading it wrong, but I'm surprised that the Mo Salah stuff is still going the way that it is.
Yeah.
Like, is there something? I mean, does he want to leave? Like, does he just want to go? Because he made those comments, and I thought they were very targeted about a year ago about wanting to play in Spain. He hasn't signed a new deal. He's been at times publicly frustrated, is maybe a fair way to put it.
Yes, fair.
Liverpool's got to protect themselves, and yeah, you're going to be looking at other people, but I think they're coming up to a summer where they've got to make a decision, and he's got to make a decision. I don't think it's going to help Liverpool to let him play his deal out and then walk on a free. It's not about the money. It's just about the unknown, the uncertainty. Is he going to be as good next year in that year as he could be? Now, it's contract year, which sometimes can get you to a higher level because you're trying to earn that next contract. But the uncertainty can sometimes create some not so strong play. So I don't know. This whole thing's fascinating that it's just still going and it's still weird. Tottenham and Cardiff, joint favorites to sign Gareth Bale when his Real Madrid contract expires in June. We've heard about Cardiff. Tottenham, I mean, I guess he's been there a couple times already. Yeah. Sure. I think a lot of it depends on if Wales is in the World Cup or not, because if they're not, I could see Gareth Bale retiring to the golf course. I really could. I just don't think he really cares that much about the club game. Could Tottenham be enough to entice him? Maybe, but you're not going to sign him to a long contract, I wouldn't think. You're going to sign him for a year, maybe. But I don't know if he signs anywhere if they don't make the World Cup. I really don't. I think he might just walk. Enzo Fernandez at River Plate. Everybody talking about Enzo Fernandez these days. Manchester City, Manchester United, Real Madrid. 20 million euro is the release clause. All of them could pay that tomorrow if they wanted to. This is getting spread everywhere now because it's bouncing back and forth across the Atlantic. So you had the reports in Europe about it. Now you're getting the reports in Argentina about it. Cesar Luis Merlo is talking about it. Enzo Enzo Fernandez has already had talks, according to Merlo, with Manchester United and with Real Madrid. Manchester City want to get into that mix, but I do not know if they have actually spoken with Enzo Fernandez or his people. West Ham and Wolves chasing Lucas Ocampos, Argentine winger at Sevilla. 70 million euro is the release clause, and Sevilla is not going to take less. Sevilla would like to extend his contract and increase the release fee to 90 million euro, according to Super Deporte. And last one, Andrea Bellotti, who has been linked with a move to Toronto, to the point that some have said it's done, it's happening, no question about it. That's getting walked back a little bit. In Italy, they're not even talking about Toronto. His contract is up this summer, and Fiorentina, Napoli, and Roma are all possible, according to Tuttosport. He's not going to stay at Torino, although they're going to try to keep him. Milan and Inter were both interested in him a few years ago. They're not now. Tuttosport says Napoli and Roma are monitoring him. 28 years old. Fiorentina have joined the race to sign him. They're still trying to replace Vlahovic. Bellotti, 28 years old, injuries this season, 5 goals, 18 appearances. Toronto was reportedly going to put a lot of money in front of him, and according to the anonymous MLS rumor people who are on this, nobody's going to be able to match what Toronto's going to put in front of him, money-wise. But does he want to leave Italy and come here at 28? If you got Napoli and Roma and Fiorentina chasing you, Napoli and Roma especially, that might be hard to walk away from. I don't think he comes. If he doesn't, Toronto will have a lot of money to spend on somebody else. But I don't think they get Bellotti. Now that he's starting to get that kind of attention, I'm just not buying it. And one more on the Chelsea ownership front. John Terry has joined the Stephen Pagliuca bid to buy Chelsea, according to the Globe and Mail, as everybody is, I guess, solidifying their bids. I thought that was supposed to be done by the end of this week.
It might just be the people that are being added in. Yes, it is supposed to be by the end of this week. And Larry,
I thought the bids were supposed to, like the actual bid themselves were supposed to be finalized by the end of the week.
Yes, that is true. But I don't know. I don't know if the idea of John Terry being added is just new information and he's been in there for a while and they're just publicly announcing it. Just as you're getting close to a deadline, you try to sit there and you win public favor by announcing, hey, we got John Terry too. One of those kinds of things. Larry Tannenbaum, also one of the hires up at Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, has also joined the Pagliuca bid as well. So that's another rather large money individual that is being tacked onto the Pagliuca group as well. And I don't know, and this is the rule, and this was, and I don't know how transitive the rule is, where if you're Pagliuca, you have to divest of Atalanta.
Yes.
The
rule's hard and fast because Atalanta can't be in the Champions League if he owns Chelsea and he owns 55% of Atalanta. One of them gets bumped from the competition, and Atalanta's the lower ranked team, they'd get bumped.
Right.
So, yeah, the rule's hard and fast in UEFA.
Then my question would be, if Tannenbaum, who is tied to Toronto FC, and like I said, I don't know how transitive this gets.
I said UEFA.
Right.
Toronto's not in UEFA.
Okay, so then, because I was thinking Club World Cup, and that was why I was trying to figure
UEFA.
out. Okay, there we go. Okay, cool. End of thought. There we go. I was trying to figure out Club World Cup and something like that if Toronto FC would have.
They're not worried about Club World Cup with Toronto getting into a Club World Cup that Chelsea might be in. You're going into fantasy land here a little bit.
No, like I said, I was just the idea that you couldn't be in the same competition, and that was why I was trying to think about Tannenbaum. But okay, Tannenbaum is in.
They'll be okay.
Yeah, so Tannenbaum is also attached, and we know how flush with cash MLSE is. So it's another money man that's been added to it as well.
They're not as flush as these other people. I'm sorry, they're not. You think MLSE is more flush with cash than Pagliuca?
What's Pagliuca currently running?
He owns like 57 different teams worldwide, it seems like.
Okay. Well, then, yeah, 57 is more than 7, yes.
Yeah, I think they're okay. I don't know if it's 57. I'm exaggerating, but I think they're okay because MLSE is not coming in as the top person in the bid.
No.
So it's Pagliuca's bid. It seems like he's going to be the one to get it. Might be wrong, but seems like he's going to be the one to get it. We'll get some questions quickly if you have any on the Twitch pitch, or if you've identified any, John, that you would like to bring back up.
A couple, and one from Burned I will save for Nico, and it has to do with Seattle and Pumas. But our discussion back in the first half hour, Christopher Abel bringing it to an Atlanta United idea. Who on Atlanta United is the most guilty of dark arts?
I mean, in different ways, like Alan Franco being physical and knocking people around from time to time. Franco Ibarra can do that as well. So that element of dark arts, yes. Moreno can draw a foul. Almada can draw a foul. I think Araujo, I haven't really seen as much of that from him. Joseph can absolutely draw a foul. He knows how to draw contact and go down and get the call. Brad Gazan, great at time wasting when he needs to. I mean, it's all different aspects of it. I think who else jumps out to me at that. Brad's great at time wasting. He's great at working a referee when he needs to in those moments. He does the little things like, I'm going to take the goal kick here. No, I don't like this position. I'm going to move it over a little bit. Oh, my bad. Sorry, Mr. Referee. Sir. Yeah, my bad. Yeah, that stuff, that's dark arts. That's all part of it. Trying to think who else in there that jumps out to me. Those are the ones that seem the most. I think Andrew Gutman can knock people around when he needs to as well. It's all part of it. You know, there's different aspects of it. I don't really see anybody who, you know, would have been known for like a cheap shot kind of dark arts. I mean, Ozzy Alonso would go flying into a tackle. I don't think he's going to cheap shot you, but he's going to do the little things like maybe grab your jersey a little bit. Maybe a little bit of a forearm in the back, you know, and when the ball's going to go up and you're going up for a header just to throw you off, that kind of stuff, because he's been around the block. So all those things are part of it, and they're all part of good teams. It's not that's the wrong way to play. No, it's all part of winning games.
And my question, we were discussing.
Dwyer, yes, thank you. Dom Dwyer can do these things too, as well.
Yeah, and then just my quick question involving Manchester City. Knowing the run-in that you have for Manchester City, would you sit De Bruyne this weekend for the FA Cup semi?
He might not have a choice, John. It sounds like. I mean, if he's got a muscle injury limping off the field on Wednesday, I don't think you're choosing to sit him. I don't think he plays this weekend.
And then that way you know, if
he just can't play.
Right.
It's not about that way anything. Like, I think he can't play. If he was hobbling off the field on a Wednesday and it's a muscle injury, I don't think you get a choice. I don't think he's playing this weekend.
And that probably means that Gundogan is in the middle, and then Kyle Walker probably means that Ake has to come back around on short notice too to play on the back for Manchester.
You're fielding who can stand up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's basically coming out of a game like that, and with the injuries that you had going in, the injuries you have coming out, like you're fielding the best team you can, but I don't think you have the luxury of saying, I want to rest this guy for this coming up and this and this. It's like, what do we have? Who can play? All right, let's go. That's really where you're at. It's why you build depth, but you know, it's just, I'm just assuming unless it is gamesmanship, which, dark arts, that, you know, if KDB is not really as hurt as you might think he is, and you're trying to throw Liverpool off, then okay, then he plays. But I don't think he's going to be able to play, because I don't think it was anything to do with gamesmanship or dark arts. I think he's just going to be out for the weekend, because you can't risk having him out for longer time if you play him and he's hurt.
And then for the record, the two matches that Manchester City has before the first leg with Real Madrid are Brighton at the Etihad, and you've got Watford coming to Manchester City as well. So manageable in theory with those two opponents that you should beat after this weekend leading into the first leg with Real Madrid.
Yeah, all that sounds good, but you got to talk about the mental side of it. I mean, you went through a crazy thing with Atleti that's going to take a lot out of you. You have this game with Liverpool that is always a big game. That's going to take a lot out of you. You're looking ahead to Real Madrid. You can't help it. You're feeling the pressure of dropping points earlier and why you're in the situation you're in with having to win every game because Liverpool's breathing down your neck. Like, those teams, sure, you can look at it and say like, oh, City will win. But it's not City just playing these opponents. They're playing the physical toll. They're playing the mental toll. They're playing the stress. They're playing all of that. They're playing future opponents in this game against Watford. Like, it's so much that factors into it that you could have a bad performance somewhere in there. Can City, with what they have coming up, and Kevin, real quick before we get to Niko Moreno, Kevin doesn't like these teams that have a lot of money. I understand that. But if you love the game, this is my opinion. If you disagree, that's completely cool. But this is my opinion, and I've had this conversation with a bunch of people, and I know I'm not the only one with the opinion. If you love the game, and you love the sport, and you love the tactics, and you love great players, it's really hard not to like watching Manchester City if you love that brand of football. You cannot like Manchester City as a club. You cannot like their ownership. You cannot like that they can outspend people. But when you're actually just watching the whistle-to-whistle 90 minutes, they're a joy to watch. Barcelona, for me, is a joy to watch right now under Xavi. There's teams that I don't enjoy watching as much, but if it's a big game like Atleti, yeah, I want to see what happens because I love the game. It's a different scale. I'm not one of these people that will ever be like, no, I don't like big clubs because they have a lot of money. And I'm not going to be one of these people who I only watch grassroots because it's grassroots and it's pure and it's this or that, because there's a scale of all of it. Good games are good games, whether they're played in Madrid, which I think these Manchester City, Real Madrid games will be incredible to watch. Just incredible. Two of the best teams in the world. Two great managers. I can't wait. I can't wait to see what Luka Modric does against Manchester City. I can't wait to see what Kevin De Bruyne and Phil Foden and Jack Grealish do against Real Madrid. But I also enjoy watching games at different scales too, because there's great games everywhere at all levels. And there's bad games everywhere at all levels. So, I mean, just pick and choose what you like, but there's always a level for you and there's always a scale for you. And now it's so much easier to watch whatever you want to watch. Like, you can find it. It's great. If you want to watch a lower division game from, a local league game from Oregon, you could probably find it on 11sports.com or somewhere else. You want to watch a third division game from Mexico, you could probably track it down. I mean, it's all great. That's what we love about how easy it is now and all this stuff. And there's so many different levels. It's fun. Dedigan says, I don't personally feel that both teams should be from the same league. If they get there, they get there. You're not going to kick somebody out because they get there. If that's how it happens, that's how it happens. We'll see where this goes. I'm not convinced that it's Manchester City and Liverpool. I can easily see Real Madrid knocking out Manchester City. 100%. I can see that happening. Let's see what Niko Moreno thinks about what happened in CONCACAF Champions League last night, because it will be the Seattle Sounders and Pumas in the CCL final. Coffee in hand, Niko Moreno. What's up, my friend?
What is going on, Jason, John? Atlanta soccer down here, audience. It is a wonderful Thursday morning in the city of Seattle, and I'm just blessed to be with you guys today.
You got a little bit earlier kick last night, so that was good for you. It wasn't quite as late of a night. Good game, good performance, get the job done. The Seattle Sounders going to the final. And look, I think it's a very winnable final. I don't know if odds are out there yet, but if Seattle is the favorite, according to the juice box folks, I wouldn't be shocked here.
Yeah, no, I agree, guys. First of all, yes, great performance last night. I have been battling with soccer romantics about how that second half played out, and just being
able. People yelling about dark arts.
Absolutely.
Oh,
people
boy.
Yelling about dark arts. And look, you just talked about it, right? People have different opinions, different takes on the game, and that's all good and well. But the objective is one. Soccer allows certain things for you to be able to get that win. And Seattle did that. They played a very good first half in which they did a lot of what they did in Seattle at Lumen Field, being extremely clever on how to get forward with the ball, moving the ball around, switching the point of attack, recycling and resetting constantly with the ball to catch their opponents off balance with long, perfect balls from the back end. That goal comes off an excellent ball from Reagan up top to just move things around. So great soccer in the first half. They were dangerous enough, and they had enough possession to create their own tempo. In the second half, things go off, and you have to be able to respond and react. And not that Seattle was able to hold off that pressure, to just endure a team that wanted it, that got some momentum back. Stefan Frei came out huge, crucial, humongous. This man put on a cape and was a hero last night. And you have to be able to credit that. That's just the way soccer goes, man. So a 1-1 draw, a very good, gritty performance by Seattle that puts them in the final of CCL. And with an opportunity to make history here.
Stefan Frei, we know he went into the phone booth last night at times and came out wearing the cape. And, I mean, especially as NYC kept trying to chase that goal that could probably turn momentum. But you mentioned it early on in our conversation. How much of the conversation has gone to the whole idea of the dark arts and the time wasting and all that stuff, and has taken away from what Seattle was able to do over 180 minutes?
More than I thought, and not just from fans around MLS, but here in Seattle. And I'm not sure, and I don't want to be disrespectful like some and call them naive or whatever. Look, that's their take on the game. I used to be one of those that only enjoyed if it was a tiki-taka and Pep Guardiola type of soccer, or full soccer like Johan Cruyff used to coach. I mean, no, that's not the way I think now. I have matured. I have now come to the realization that
converted at the church, haven't you?
that look, you have to get a result, and sometimes that can be a downfall for a team when you can only win in one particular way, and you die or live with that one theory and outlook on the game. I think you limit yourself. And Brian Smetzer and the Sounders didn't do that. So yes, those dark arts, look, wasting some time. Last night when I asked Brian Smetzer about Raul Ruiz coming up on a stretcher, he giggled, right? I mean, he laughed. He knew that perhaps there was nothing quite there. But hey, that is what happens. CCL is an international tournament where these things are not just valid, but they are in your toolbox for you to use. It happens in Copa Libertadores all the time. I mean, you even see it in Champions League. I mean, I don't want to be that guy that's Europe is the perfect place. No. They do it as well. There are many ways that you can affect the game, and they did that, right? So, disappointed on the way some of the fans in New York acted, throwing bottles on the field. Now, that's shameful. That's shameful.
100%.
Not taking some time and having a little bit of that sneakiness to get a couple of minutes. No, shameful is throwing water bottles at athletes that you should be just happy and applauding to.
Yeah, 100%. There's never a justification for fans throwing things at players throwing things on the field. And we have on our Soccer Over There show on Monday nights the Mondays with Morons segment. These NYC fans who threw things on the field, they'll go into that club and they should be banned and they should be kicked out and they should not be allowed to buy tickets to any CONCACAF event, any MLS event. You can't have that stuff, and it's just becoming too prevalent everywhere. Time wasting and maybe hopping on a stretcher when you maybe could have got up, making sure you know exactly where the free kick is going to be taken from, provocation things, all of that. It's all part of the game. And you can not love elements of the game, but to be, I'll say it, naive about it existing. Like, it's real. And if you don't do it in CONCACAF, and look, these were 2 MLS teams, but still, I don't care that you got players from all over the world. If you don't do this stuff, the other team's going to do it to you.
Exactly.
Nobody,
100%.
you're not better than anybody. Like, it's not going to happen to where, oh, well, we don't do those sorts of things. And where you want to draw the line, I don't know. I don't care. Like, you can't time waste. You can't blast the ball into the stands. You can't walk off slowly on a substitution. You can't take a goal kick slow. All of it is part of this conversation. You got to win. You got to win, period.
And once again, you do it on the field. The reality of everything is all those fans that are upset for one way or another. Look, Seattle made it happen in 180 minutes of play.
Yep.
They took care of business at home. They did a lot of wonderful things. They had brilliant goals with a mix of a variation of combinations and runs. And there is no team in MLS right now that uses the width of the field the way that the Seattle Sounders do, the way that they shift in the midfield and they create numerical disbalances for defenses to be able to handle them. That's beautiful. If you like that, hey, they give you that too. But you have to be able to be versatile. You have to be able to adapt to the situation. And that's what they did. That is exactly what they did. We should be talking about Raul Ruiz getting a huge goal for him, and the way that Albert Rusnak once again is there in the pass before the pass to the goal, and all of that. I mean, Nuhu getting an assist. I mean, that doesn't happen all the time. And the guy is a fantastic defender. He's a very exciting player. But when it comes to that final third, he doesn't always do the right pass. He did it this time. Raul puts it in the back of the net. Also credit to New York City FC. They had a wonderful second half. They came back. They were playing good soccer. Santi Rodriguez, in his ability to try to replace Maxi, did great. He, hasn't quite found his way as a 10, but he affected the game correctly. He gets a goal. He was dangerous. Thales Mago, I mean, obviously, you weren't expecting to find yourself with Super Frey in front of goal, but hey, you know what? He got into dangerous positions. In general, they did a good job against a very good Sounders team. So credit to them as well. Rondella set up a plan. They tried to execute it. They couldn't make it, but this is a worthy opponent, and Seattle makes it to the final by credit and by doing it right and by getting through some really tough opponents, Leon and Santos, playing Al Leon. I mean, everything that they did, this team is dangerous. I asked Brian yesterday, what makes this team a true contender? Looking back at what you just did, and he mentioned the opponents that they beat, the resilience of a team that had to go to the depth and the bottom of their roster to pick that up. No Raul Ruiz, no problem. Here goes Freddie. No Nicolas Lodeiro. That's all right. We got Albert. We got Christian Roldan. We got Reagan for Yamar Gomez Andrade. I mean, look, this team is resilient. And they can do a lot of great things because they understand who they are. They have an identity. They have a system in place. And they have a deep roster of players who people may not know. I did a show midweek, early this week, like super late at night. And these guys were like, well, tell me about the Sounders because I don't know anybody in that roster. The only person I know is Raul Ruiz. Exactly those words. And I was like, you know what? That's all right. You don't follow MLS. Let me school you real quick. And I'm going to tell you exactly who these guys are and who Joao is and who Yemar is and what Rusnak does and who Jordan Morris is and is kind of coming back to. Yeah. So, you know what? It's just, I'm excited for this team. They have done it the right way. And I think they are, one step away from getting that title.
This past offseason, and when Albert Rusnak was going to Seattle, everybody looked at that and was like, whoa. I mean, that to me was one of those transactions in the offseason that really seemed to be one of the additions, capital THE, one of the additions of the offseason. And he seems to have integrated pretty quickly into what Seattle wants to do and what Brian Schmetzer wants him to do. What's it been like to see Albert Rusnak hit the ground running, already an established talent in MLS from what we saw at RSL, but hopping into a championship environment and folks that are chasing after multiple titles this year in Seattle? What's it been like to see him integrate?
It's been a learning lesson for me. You put a player you pigeonhole them to what maybe he did prior, and the type of player and the type of impact that he was going to have, and you questioned, and I'm talking about me, of course, and maybe others, what he was doing on the field, because he wasn't getting those statistical things that you want to see from a DP. But then you go back and you look at the game and you talk to the players and you talk to Brian, and you really inform yourself and educate yourself on what he's doing on the field and how he's making the runs and what he's doing defensively. And now you see him grow into this spot at the CDM role, in which, man, he's just very good at. And last night, once again, not just with the ball, but without it, being able to do a tactical foul, just get back in the right positions, defend, and maybe not win the duel or steal the ball, but you're just holding out for somebody else to come in on that left side to help you out. Keeping that shape intact, that is so important, making sure that there's no gaps in between lines. All of those things he's doing. So it's been a learning lesson to see him get here, adapt. It's not easy when you are the man, the guy at a club. And that was one of the things that I questioned, is how he was going to react and come into a team with already some alpha males, some real stars there. And he has done that wonderfully. He's fit in, not just on the field, but in that locker room. This team really has got close to him very quickly. They enjoy him as a person. They know he's a hard worker at practice. And that's all you could ask from a teammate. So it's been wonderful to see, and a huge addition for the squad. Having him in that position just puts another creative player in a whole different area of the field, and that's just been so crucial for Seattle in transition, in the build out, in the build up. I mean, it's been great.
I think something that has jumped out to me with this version of the Sounders, and Brian Schmetzer at times doesn't get enough credit for being that tactician and figuring out how to move the pieces around. And you mentioned Rusnak, and this is what brings it to mind for me, is we've watched Nico Lodeiro kind of do this in his career. When Nico came into the team, it was, okay, he's a 10. He's going to be the playmaker. He's going to sit behind the forward. He's going to spray the passes. He's going to create it. I remember plenty of times that we've seen Lodeiro play as an 8, play in a double pivot, play deep. Rusnak's kind of going through that same evolution. And it goes back to what I've talked about a lot this week with managers, whether it's Pep Guardiola, whether it's Diego Simeone. The best managers convince their players of what's needed for the team. And when you get Lodeiro to sacrifice for the team, you get Rusnak to walk in the door and sacrifice for the team, it's the sign of a top manager. And Brian Schmetzer, I don't know why, but he gets left out of that conversation in MLS all the time. And he convinces his players of what's needed, and he wins a lot.
Look, people tend to forget and undervalue the importance of being a motivator as a part of being a coach. The strategy, right? The formations, the concepts, all of that is important. And Brian has really grown into it. People might not give him the credit, but he is worked at it. He is honestly gotten better and better year after year. You used to say, or some used to say that, he was kind of shielded or blanketed by Gonzalo and by Jimmy Traore. And those guys are gone, and that's still there. Seattle, as an organization, enjoys versatility on the field from every player. And yes, you're right. You've seen it from Nico. You've seen him from Christian Roldan. You've seen him at the wing. You've seen him at the 10. I've seen him as a 9. I've seen him at CDM. I mean, that's Sounder soccer. You are going to put a guy in a position to succeed. You're going to try to make it happen as a collective group, and every player buys in on it. And that's credit to that coaching staff, that they buy in on it, that they're going to go out there and just give it all, regardless of the assignment or the role or the position. They're going to get out there and work hard. And that's exactly what you see here. And it's credit to Brian on finding a way to put his best players on the field. It used to happen with Nuhu. You wanted to see him on the field, but you didn't know how. Last season, you put him at center back in a three-man lineup. Now you have the space for him at the left back position, so you put him there. So it's just Brian Smetzer's ability to put all the guys that he needs on the field, and not just that, but having the ability to manage one-on-one and get him to buy in on the product, buy in on what they're supposed to be doing, while you also take care of those guys that might be on the bench needing some minutes, like Leo Chu, and making sure that they are developed and ready for the time you need them.
You mentioned the buy-in. Let me ask you this. Is there one player that stands out who Brian Schmetzer has impacted the most from the time he's walked in the door? It's like you have this perception of a player, and then Brian comes in and he's there to counsel, he's there to lean on, he's there to tell you what Sounders, football is supposed to be. Has there been one player or a couple of players that come to mind that he truly has impacted their game to get them to the level that it's at right now?
Wow, that's a very good question, and one that I would like to know, because my first thought is Alex Roldan, right? But I would like to hear from him. I have seen that growth. I do know and understand that Brian has always been big on him, and when he was brought in from Seattle U, not a lot of people thought that he could be at this level. Yeah. I know that he was released at one point, or he could have been a free agent. So was that more of money thing, perhaps? But I would say Alex Roldan is one of those guys that has benefited from Brian Schmetzer being the guy that looks at the intangibles, that sees beyond wherever you played or what you did, because Brian's like that. He's not all about, let's get the internationals, or let's get this guy from La Liga or the Premier. No. He is gonna want to get around and look at those USL guys and look at those perhaps Seattle U guys, and not necessarily the top of the college level teams, right? So I would say that Alex is one of those players that has benefited from Brian being there constantly. And now that product has come to fruition, and he's one of the best players at his position for the Seattle Sounders.
Yeah, I think what he's really good at is incorporating guys at all different levels, because in this league, you have to have that. You don't have unlimited spending. You can't just go buy whoever you want. You've got to have guys out of college contribute in some way. You've got to have guys out of your academy contribute in some way. And he molds a team out of them. It's always been impressive. I think what happens a lot of times with the whole dark arts conversation and Seattle, a game that I think a lot of Atlanta United fans remember and are still angry about, was in 2018 when Seattle was struggling and had a bunch of injuries. It was right as Raul Ruidiaz was arriving, and I don't think he was ready to play yet. And Seattle went to New England and was very defensive and very negative, and to the point that Brad Friedel came out afterwards and said, yeah, Schmetzer apologized for being so defensive to me after the game. And they came here a couple of days later, and it was the same thing. But that's what you got to do sometimes. And I think he recognizes, we can go for it here. No, you know what? We can't go for it here. We got to get something out of this game. And if it's ugly, it's ugly. I don't care. We got to take a point back home. And he'll do that. And the reason he can do that is he's got stars, but also kids and everything in between on the same page grinding for the squad.
Yeah, it's about balance. And, ultimately it is on to the point of certain players. Yesterday, things broke down and you were under pressure and you were getting balls in the 18, and players had to come out big, whether it's Rowe putting his back to the ball and it bounces out and you're trying to clear the ball with, any part of the body that you can, or Stefan Fry coming out big on a one-on-one situation. But it is about you understanding that you're going to have to play a little bit different and pragmatic and bring those players back and maybe not allow Nuhu to get so far out, or bringing in Khaled and letting him know, hey, don't worry so much about getting forward. Just make sure you are a destroyer in this portion of the field. So that is exactly what it's about, understanding the situation, things that are not always going to go your way, and being okay with that. And I think the team did that. Brian has done that consistently, and you're going to need it against a team like Pumas that is about that life. Pumas they don't have the top roster in Liga MX. Nobody thought that they were going to get this far, but in discipline, order, in the way they play, a 4-4-2 that is very compact. They understand that the team that they are, they can be dangerous. So they're definitely going to need the exact same things and everything that you've lived through CCL to get this win.
Yeah, and it's going to help them as we get later into the season too in MLS. Now, Seattle didn't play in the weekend. I want to talk a little bit about MLS with you, Nico, before we let you go. Los Angeles, the Galaxy, get the win over LAFC. Chicharito keeps scoring goals. He's not going to be called into the Mexican national team, it sounds like. Still all kinds of weird underlying stories there that I don't think we'll ever get the true story of. But in MLS and with the LA Galaxy, does that make them a team that now maybe you start looking at as, they could win this thing at the end of the year?
Look, you might think so, but I'm not ready to buy that stock yet.
You're not buying yet?
No, as a matter of fact, I would buy LAFC stock before I buy LAG stock. That's just really? Me. Yeah, okay. Look, the game went a certain way, and credit to the LA Galaxy for winning it without Mark Delgado, and finding a way to expose at times that defensive line that I was just praising Mamadou Fall, right? And he had an awful game, a lot of ball watching, reactive play. You got to know where Javier Hernandez is at all times. I mean, if you're going to do something as the LA Galaxy, it's know where this guy is. I mean, put a GPS on the guy, put a cowbell on him. You have to make sure that you know where this guy is at. That's exactly where he wants to be, is at in that final third. So they were able to do that. So credit to them. Greg Vanny, once again, a great motivator, a great coach, guy with an identity. This team is buying in on it, right? So, yes, they are a good team. I think they're still very short on the depth chart. I think that they are limited. I'm still very surprised that they were able to put Kevin Leerdam in that CDM position. Someone who, we know well here in Seattle, right? And that I never thought he would play there, but he made it very simple. Kelvin, you're going to come to this spot of the field, and you're just going to destroy, man. You're just going to worry about filling in the spaces. Don't do anything cute. Don't try to get out with the ball. Just bang it out. Just move the ball quickly. Make the short pass. And that's what he did. And that ended up working. Another coach that understands his limitations. So credit to Greg Vanny. But at the end of the season, you're going to need talent. You're going to need depth. And I think LAFC has that. It was a bad game. They got very unlucky in the final third, and unlucky sometimes is a cliche word, but maybe they weren't clinical. Yeah, they weren't clinical in front of goal, and that affected the game. Then you have that whole. It wasn't offside. I mean, I'm not even going to call it controversial. There wasn't offside. I get it. People wanted it to not be, but it is. But yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I think LAFC is just a better team overall. But credit to the LA Galaxy, and I think they're a couple of players away from being a real problem in this league. Yeah,
I'm close to buying. Maybe I haven't bought yet on that stock, but I'm getting the itchy trigger finger on the Galaxy. I got a lot of respect for Greg Vanny. I think he's going to have them there. But
and look, Raheem Edwards, man, he's been fantastic. The most consistent player in the LA Galaxy has to be Raheem Edwards. I mean, what he does on both sides of the field, that heart, that desire, oh my. Greg Vanny's got to send Bob a bouquet of roses or some mini muffins or something, because he really did a work on Raheem.
We're finally seeing Raheem Edwards be what people thought he would be maybe 2-3 years ago. It's finally starting to come to the fore. In the East, the question I want to ask you is New England. They have lost 4 in a row in league play. You mix in the capitulation against Pumas, 5 straight losses, and I kind of understood the first 3 maybe. I mean, except for the capitulation in Mexico, because come on, you can't do that. But the crazy stuff with Real Salt Lake, it's snowing. Carlos Gil's mad. He doesn't want to play in the snow. All right, you might be looking ahead to Mexico. Fine. You blow it in Mexico. Then you come back and you lose to Charlotte after all that. Okay, fine. The Red Bulls game, little fluky. It's an own goal in the 90th. Should have been a draw. It's a loss. All right, what's up? And then you go to Fort Lauderdale and you get beat by Inter Miami. Should we be worried?
I would be. I mean, look, this team we thought was going to be a lot better. I mean, if we're talking about surprises, shockingly, I mean, they are that team that you thought was going to be in the top, and they have looked awful. I mean, they have looked worse than Cincinnati at times. And yes, that I mean, obviously, listen, Inter Miami is not what you want to see. And credit to Inter Miami and Leonardo Campana, who you guys have heard me praise in this show before. Love who he is as a 9 and his ability to just find the right spaces. And he just has an instinct for goal. And I think that's going to be huge for Inter Miami at some point when they get a little bit better, because they still need that touch of talent. But you know what? Being reactive, I think that New England needs to change it up. It's not working.
I don't think the 4-4-2 diamond is working. I didn't think it worked last year. They weren't as good when they switched to it. I don't know why they switched to it. They got to get out of that.
And we've talked about this before, right? I mean, we talked about how vulnerable they were and, you know, certain players that might not fit that specific system, right? And yes, they got a couple of results and you thought, oh, you know what? No, it's not working. It's not working. And there is no more excuses. Bruce has a lot of good things about him, and he is a legend and everything that you want to, you know, say about coach. But change does not go well with him, and he needs to figure out that what he has executed is not working, and you got to move it along. And when you have guys like Carlos Gil that they like to win, they like to play a certain way, you're going to want to do that sooner rather than later, because if you start losing those guys in the locker room, it could be a real issue. So I just think that there needs to be a change. I am worried, and fans should be worried about the current form of this team, and they just seem to need a lot, because you don't see that talent. You don't see Gustavo Bo anymore. You don't see Carlos Gil to have the exact same influence in the game, right? Leggett is never been a Leggett guy, but, you know, I get why people like him. But you haven't seen any of it. So you got to restructure, and you got to find a way to get these guys in the right positions.
You mentioned early on who you have stock in and who you don't have stock in. Let me ask you this. For teams that are currently above the playoff bar, could be East or West, whichever way you want to take it, or you could do them both. Who do you not have stock in? Who are you not buying stock in that currently is above the playoff bar right now?
Oh, my. With the good questions. My man, John, I think Houston Dynamo is the one team that I'm not really buying on. And you know, that might be a gimme. But I just don't. I think that it's been a little bit of the calendar. Yes, they're coming from a very good game, and Ferreira finally being that player that you wanted him to be. And yes, they have Hector Herrera coming in at some point, but I just think that they are at least another season away from being a true contender in this league. They have good quality players in Quintero, and you know, credit to the coach come in and just kind of fix things up. But I think they're the one team that I wouldn't really buy that is above the line, especially in the Western Conference, where you got some real ballers. You got some those hierarchy guys, those clubs that are always there. You got them below that line right now. But, you know, later down the season, it might not be the case. So Houston is the one team that I'm not quite buying on just yet.
Yeah, out of the 14 that are in playoff spots right now, I think they're the most obvious one that it's like, I don't think so. I think Austin and Charlotte are the next two that over the 34 games, it might be harder for them to hold on to their spots when you got Seattle chasing out west. You got Portland, you got Colorado, maybe Minnesota. Until Kansas City gets to 6, they're not chasing anything. In the East, you got New England, you got New York City, you got Montreal, you got Toronto, who are all going to be chasing. I think the East is going to be a bloodbath. I think you're going to have a couple of good teams in the East who don't make the playoffs.
Oh, but I like Charlotte, though, man. I like
do too.
Charlotte.
I do too.
Man.
I don't want anybody to start misconstruing it because, man, anytime you mention Charlotte around here, people get bent out of shape. They're going to be a great rival for Atlanta United. You got 2 games under your belt now that have had all kinds of different things happening in them. I love what Miguel Angel Ramirez has done. They got to do something on the road before they start to convince me that they can get into the playoffs ahead of Chicago, Columbus, Toronto, Montreal, New York City, and New England.
Yeah,
That's
and you're not always going to have an
facing.
Olympico to kind of rely on to win you a game, right?
No.
I mean, look, credit where credit is due, and it happens sometimes. And
it does. You take it and you run.
Sometimes Olympicos to me are kind of like, did he really try that, or did that just kind of, curve a little more than he wanted it? That you could play it off as, oh man, I had that and I practiced it and yada yada yada. And I love Miguel Angel Ramirez calling him un sinvergüenza for it. That's great. But you're not always going to have that to rely on. And you're right. You're going to have to show a lot more to make it in this Eastern Conference.
Let's see when they get Josviak. Let's see when they get maybe one more winger. And then you get Ramirez, who has found something with playing 4-4-2 that I don't think was his intention walking in the door, and it's worked. And Daniel Rios, maybe one of the most underrated acquisitions before the season started, because he is just thankless running, thankless work to make everything else fit. Daniel Rios, one of the most underrated players in the league in my book. But they've got the 4-4-2 now that they've won every time they've played it. That wasn't in the playbook coming in. And you get these wingers, and then you can get to your 4-3-3, which was the playbook coming in. It could get really interesting. But look, man, we know how this league goes. You got one injury, you get this dip in form, you get a road trip that's difficult. These things are tough early on. And I don't know, especially with NYC and New England down there at the bottom of the East. They're not going to be at the bottom of the East. They're not going to finish there. Where do they finish? And does it come at the expense of a Chicago, of a Charlotte, maybe? It's going to be wild. I can't wait. This season has already been crazy.
Yeah, Montreal too. I think Montreal is also a very talented squad.
I do too.
With a good system. I'd be careful with Montreal as well on that end.
Yeah, I do too. I think Wilfred Nancy is one of the best coaches in the league, and I think he gets as much as you possibly can out of that group. You got a playmaker in Georgi Mihailovic, who is one of the best in the league. You got guys who can find the back of the net, and you're good defensively. Like, they don't have the depth that some of the others do to compete on multiple fronts. Champions League took a lot out of them. Now that that's done, they're on a great run, and that's going to be a difficult team too. And we know Toronto's going to add more pieces outside of just Insigne, and they figured it out. You mentioned we've talked about that this week too, Nico. Bob went in stubborn to Toronto. He goes in, I don't need fullbacks, so I'm going to play wingers at fullback, and they're going to be fine. Now they weren't. What did he do to fix it? He goes to what we've talked about, 3 center backs. You play your wingers as wing backs, a little bit more comfortable. Since they made that switch, they're unbeaten, and they're going to be able to make that work as they add more pieces.
Yeah, I agree. No, 100%. You can never play Bob out. He's such a good not just strategist, but he's also a motivator. Yes. And he's one thing I do credit him for is that he's not afraid to change things up. He did it with LAFC at the end of his time, right?
Yeah.
But he was able to move. He figured out that the 4-3-3 wasn't quite working for all the guys, so he moved in. He was playing Sifu at a 10, and so I like the fact that he can change that, right? And you could see it here with Toronto as well. Jimenez has looked a lot better than I thought that he would, and in general, the team seems to have quality. I'm still not buying on Salcedo. I think he's super overrated.
You're not the only one. I've had this conversation with multiple people. Like, ooh, Salcedo.
But I like Petrasso and Pozuelo and a lot of those things that this team could essentially have under Bob Bradley. I mean, is that bus that is coming. He might be late, but it's coming.
Yeah, you had to get the protection for the fullbacks / wingbacks and for Salcedo. You go to that 3/5 in the back, so you're giving yourself more cover. You're letting your skill guys go find things in the attacking half. You're going to get one of the best skill guys in the league in Insigne coming in the second half, and you're probably going to bring a running buddy for him. Yeah, they're a team that can make some noise, and they're doing more in the first half than I thought they would early on, where it looked like Bob might be stubborn Bob, as we've seen a few times, where it's, no, I know what we're doing, and this is what we're going to do. It's going to work. He switched quickly, and that's a credit to him. This, for me, I guess last thing for you, Nico, is what I'm learning so far in 2022 about the league is it's better top to bottom than I think it's ever been. There's no easy games anymore in this league, at least early on. Now, look, we know teams fall off. We'll see later. But right now, you go into a week and really anybody can beat anybody.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think you're absolutely right. 100% agree. The talent level, the coaching, with the exception of maybe some team. Well, you know what? Even Minnesota. I'm not even gonna get on Minnesota. You know what?
You wanted to go there though.
I was gonna jab them, but you know what? They have enough issues as it is, right? But no, you're right. I think that yes, that the talent level is clearly moving on up, and I am a true believer that the more talent that comes into this league and the more you grow as an infrastructure and the better you do with academies and homegrown players and all of these things that are working for MLS, the better this league is going to be. I've had numerous debates this week about how close you are to Liga MX and is winning this CONCACAF Champions League a real parameter to say that the league is better. Look, you might not see it, but this league is getting a lot better. You're getting some top players, some good coaching, and you can see it. You can see it. Every game is exciting, and I watch 5-6 games a week, and my wife don't like it, but sometimes I gotta watch the replay, maybe late night, but I want to see it because the quality is there, the players, there's good soccer, good movement. So it's exciting to see the league excel as much as it has over the last few years.
Yeah, it's a blast. It's always fun catching up with you, my friend. It's always fun catching up with you after a big Seattle night where they get into the CCL finals. You got a lot to be talking to those people who don't know about the Seattle Sounders and don't know that roster. You're going to have to spread some truths to your people.
It's been a busy week. It's been a busy week for sure.
I can imagine. We'll get some rest, and we will talk to you next week about the weekend in MLS, man. Thanks for the time.
No problem, guys. Thank you. And just real quick, rest in peace, Freddy Rincon, one of the legends of Colombian soccer. Car accident, passed away this morning. I used to be that guy with his action figure. I had, the little things for the album to set him up for the World Cup. Such a great player. Napoli didn't do great in Real Madrid, but he was one of those early stars in my childhood that you felt like put the country of Colombia up high. Rest in peace, guys. Have a good one.
One of the most legendary goals in Colombian national team history against West Germany in 1990.
That's right. That 1-1 goal, baby. Obviously, I didn't watch it because I was too young, but it is something that you kind of grew up with, People read about, the Cinderella and Tarzan and Pocahontas. I was getting told there was this one time when we tied Germany 1-1. Leonel Alvarez steals the ball. Anyways, I'm not going to bore you with it. But yes, have a good one, guys.
Thanks, Nico. Have a good one. Make sure you're following El Rolo NW on your social medias. It's been a thick day with a lot of this over the last couple of days. We mentioned the Freddie Rincon car accident yesterday. He passed this morning. Atlanta United just issued the statement on Archie Eversole and his passing yesterday. A guy that, I've told you all that I've DJ'd in different points in my life. And when We Ready came out originally, it was right as I was finishing up a stint DJing at clubs in Athens, and we were starting to play it right before I left Athens and came back to Atlanta. And it was just one of those songs at that time that, man, I mean, it was right there with anything that, Little John, Pastor Troy, all of them, that era of Atlanta hip hop, right below your Ludas and your Outcasts. It felt like Atlanta. and that song will always feel like Atlanta. And Archie was somebody who jumped on the Atlanta United bandwagon really early on. Very passionate supporter, somebody who, always had time for kids as well, always had time for fans when he was at tailgates and stuff. Just hate to see that. Absolutely deep sympathies go out to his family, his friends, people who have met him and interacted with him. I never had that opportunity, but never heard a bad thing about Archie Eversole and how he treated people. So hate to hear that. I know there's been some other losses in the Atlanta United supporters section as well. It feels like these things come in bunches right now, and, make sure that you're looking out for one another, make sure you're looking out for friends and family. And we all go on and try to honor these folks that are no longer with us. But sympathies out to everybody who's been affected by all of these different things, whether it's Freddie Rincon, whether it's Archie, whether it's other supporters. That's going to do it for us. We will be back tomorrow for our MLS weekend preview. Very hectic show with getting ready for Cincinnati, with our Friday free kick. Greg Garza up on the Friday free kick tomorrow. Mike Conti will be on the show. We might be just a little bit earlier than normal because I have a production meeting at 11:15. So what I'm thinking we're going to do is do an 8:15 to 10:15 show. It's a little bit skewed, but we'll get a little bit with Mike at the very end. We'll get our free kick, and we'll get our conversation about the weekend in MLS, our fastest 30 minutes. That's still 30 minutes, but it's still fast, but it's still 30 minutes. We'll get all of that into the show tomorrow, but we'll announce it a little bit later on Twitter what our time frame will be tomorrow. So a little bit earlier than normal. We'll close down a little bit earlier. It'll be available sooner as a podcast tomorrow, but be on the lookout for the time. I got to figure out how the timing will work and how everything will fit. So we'll do that tomorrow. Thanks to everybody who was a part of the show today. Thanks again to Niko Moreno, who always takes the time for us on a Thursday. And we'll be back tomorrow. Mucho platio.
Mucho platio.